Hey, good evening, guys. It's me, Missy. I wanted to, you know, say thank you to all of those who follow me. Said some very kind words of my last post about different types of mediums and what they do and what they provide. I had a question that was asked and kind of follow into the story of how I knew how I had abilities. Wow, it's been a long day. And I knew from the when I understood what was going on, I knew something was different about me. And I am kind of different. My family could tell you that I am a different person. My auntie would say is you're a weirdie. I love and miss her every day. I know she's around and she's definitely watching over, her beautiful daughters and just being the most wonderful person she is. But she also was very no bullshit lady, honestly. And I loved her for that, and I still do. So when I realized that I was not normal, I hate saying that, was when I was about 6 or 7. And at the time, in my family, we lived in a place in northern Idaho. And this house, I clearly remember it was a blue house. And it had this huge walnut tree in the front. Me and my brother used to play all the time up front. We'd play with the wagon we had, and we'd play all the time. I mean, like brother and sisters do. I believe this was the house that my brother gave me a bloody nose. It was over pizza. Yeah. Anyway, I would always hear things in the house, and it was an older home. So, at the time when I was old enough to really understand that, I thought it was our father going up the stairs to make sure that we were being good and in bed, right? I always had this fear of the closet. I did not like the closet that was in this home. And I guess some people play it off as that's your natural fear of a child, or you've seen something scary, but no, this place, hands down, something going on. And I felt it. And when I fell asleep one evening in my room, I had a particular blanket that had holes in it, but I had the blanket, and anyway, something just kind of jarred me in the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was. I just know that everybody was asleep and out, and I looked up and I seen a man standing there. And at first, when you're kind of halfway asleep, halfway awake, I thought, well, it was my dad, but it wasn't my dad. He was tall and he was skinny, and he had kind of longer arms than normal, like not real long arms like a gorilla or anything, but I mean, he was, and I remember his face, and he had like a hairline, like, they call it the widow's peak, and you can clearly see what he looked like, but not really. Like, it was weird. And I was scared. Like, I was like, who is this? And as any child would do, I took the blanket over my head, and my particular blanket that I had, I think, was just like an old hospital blanket. I mean, my mom, she was not a hoarder. I love her. But she made sure we all had blankets and all that. So sometimes she would get them from, back in those days, from family members and what have you. But anyway, I don't know why I'm going on about the blanket. And I put it over my head, and it had little holes in it that you could see through it. And he just stood there. He still was standing there. And I don't know how I ended up falling asleep, but I did. Many, many years later, it dawned on me that I'd seen things like that all the time. And I noticed that when I was probably about more and more when I actually, began to grow up. I didn't really tell a lot of people just because I didn't want to be the really weird person. I mean, I am weird, but it was already bad enough because I was being bullied at school. And so I would play with a little girl who was my friend, and she was, I thought she was physically there. She really wasn't. Like, it wasn't an imaginary friend. It was really, truly somebody was there. And it's weird because when we're children, we're innocent. Like, we see things through our eyes. And I believe that this is how children say that they have, like, imaginary friends. And it could be true, but I also believe that children are still capable to see the other side. And in my case, I was able to do that, but I also was led to believe it was my imagination. And it wasn't because my family or my mom and dad didn't want to support me. I think majority of the time it scared them. And especially my father, just because I think a lot of things happened in his life that really kind of triggered him a little. And he didn't want to believe in that certain stuff. Again, it was based out of fear. My mom, she knew I was able to do this. And, well, that makes no sense, but my mom knew I had these abilities, but she didn't know how to handle it as well. And she, as any marriage, she supported my father and what he believed, and she didn't want to push the issue, which is understandable. And yeah, so when I got older, and when I, became a teenager and everything, I was always into the spooky stuff, and I was able to do a lot of things that I really didn't want to talk to people about. I kind of kept those to myself because I didn't know how people would perceive it. And sometimes it takes people longer to realize what they can and can't do. But through the years, I've figured out that you have to start believing in yourself and have more confidence. And trust me, it takes a lot to find that confidence. So, yeah, that's kind of my first thing. And I've always known I've been able to do this. It's taken a lot for me to even come out now. And again, like I always said, I always tend to question myself if I'm really seeing what I'm seeing, So yeah, tell me about your guys' gifts and how your first time or what you have experienced through your life. I think we all learn from each other. I think we all grow. And yeah, so that's all I got. And you guys take care of you and take care of yourself. Thanks, guys. Bye.